Before rage bait streamers, before prank and reaction channels, it was socially acceptable to hate on one group, weeaboos. Nowadays, liking anime and Japanese culture has been normalized to the point where many have forgotten what got them their reputation. However, some people serve as perfect reminders why liking anime was held in such contempt. One such individual is MadThad0890, a staple of early YouTube, 4Chan, and anime forums, particularly infamous for a video where he wished a happy birthday to his waifu, meaning an anime character he imagined to be his girlfriend.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Kotonoha. Happy birthday to you.
It went viral in some subsections of the internet and established Thad as somewhat of an early minor e-celebrity, with a few thousand subscribers regularly tuning in to see what he had to say about anime, video games, and, of course, to see what vile cringe he was going to do next. His notoriety spiked in such a way that he was prominently featured in a classic Filthy Frank video about weeaboos.
Are ashamed of me, 'cause all of a sudden
Many thought he was just a cringe guy. Strange, but ultimately harmless. But under the surface, something much darker was lurking. Thaddeus McMichael was born on April 13th, 1990 in a suburb of Detroit, Michigan. By looking at his MySpace from 2008, we can see that he was a relatively unremarkable person. And I don't mean this as an insult, I just mean that he was, well, normal. I'm a funny and nice guy. I'm really cool, and when I'm bored, I hit up YouTube and either make a video or just watch him. His taste in music included Sean Kingston, Gucci Mane, and Kanye West, which made him as ordinary as you can get. On the anime side of things, he liked watching Death Note and Full Metal Alchemist, both of which he liked so much that he even read the manga. On February 10th, 2008, Thaddeus created his YouTube channel, and about 2 months later, he uploaded his first video where he played an anime theme song out of his speakers while pretending to play it on a guitar. This is quintessential early YouTube. Just a guy messing around in his room and posting it online, hoping someone will stumble across it and chuckle. The rest of his early content also fell squarely into this category. His next video had him singing the theme song to One Piece, an anime that we'll come to find out had a profound impact on his life. He also posted a video of him freestyling with his little brother in the background. It's hard to say what his goal with these videos was during this time, considering they basically have no appeal to anyone outside of himself and perhaps his close friends. In June of that year, he posted a video of him celebrating his graduation from high school and dancing to Get Silly by VIC, perhaps the most 2008 song of all time, which is accentuated by his impeccable moves. Another thing worth noting is that at this time, YouTube was vastly different than how it is today. By looking at an archive of his channel, we can see that by August of 2008, he had accumulated 33 subscribers, but also had 45 friends. This is a feature that doesn't even exist on the platform nowadays, but at the time, YouTube had a much more traditional social media feel to it rather than just being used for video hosting. Additionally, there was even a now defunct messaging feature where you could privately talk to anyone, which further incentivized users to communicate with each other. The reason I bring this up is because during this time, Thad began transitioning from posting song covers and videos of him dancing into the void and began making a genuine attempt at finding like-minded people with whom he could connect. He proceeded to post what would nowadays be considered a commentary video, but at that time was called a vlog, going over his dissatisfaction with Grand Theft Auto 4 being banned in Thailand after a teenager perpetrated a violent crime, and the media tied it to the game.
You claim that you was influenced by a virtual video game that you play to do that in real life. Come on now.
This video marks the first appearance of his lifelong hatred of censorship, and although it seemed benign initially, this would grow increasingly disturbing with time. Thad quickly outgrew his two-dimensional online presence and began giving his viewers a clearer image of who he was as a person. He uploaded a video in 2 parts called "If You're Thinking About Taking Your Life, Watch This," which was actually just one video, but it had to be split into 2 parts, due to YouTube not allowing videos to be longer than 10 minutes each. Thad opens by saying that he came across a few videos where other users were discussing their desire to take their own life, and even discovered posthumous videos of people who had already done the deed. He then ponders what could have gone so wrong in their lives for them to reach that breaking point, but then relates it to his own life. Thad says that not too long before the video's release, he was considering doing something drastic himself.
It was gonna be over this girl I had went with, and she was really my first love and first like girl that ever gave me a chance to go with me. Cause he sees my videos, I'm not the ladies' man, you know what I'm saying? But anyway.
Thad had met this girl while working together at a local McDonald's. He had never been with anyone before, and he lost his virginity to her. He quickly became enamored, saying he himself is unsure if it was totally love or more infatuation. Whatever the case is, his feelings were strong, and the two began dating. Unfortunately, things were not all they were cracked up to be, as it was revealed to him that just the day before he had slept with her, she had been intimate with her ex-boyfriend. Right after they had been together, she then slept with one of their co-workers as well. Thad, as anyone would, found this extremely disturbing, and instantly broke up with her on the spot. Just kidding, that's what he should have done. Instead, he decided to continue to date her to try and make it work. Of course, this was rough when he had to go to work every day and bag fries with the dude who banged his girlfriend, but he came up with a pretty nifty solution to it. He just quit.
I mean, the fact that I had to come to school every day and see the same guy that be getting what I want, you know, it's just...
This girl went on to cheat on him a total of 6 times, all of which he entertained due to how down bad he was. But after an argument they had on the subject, they finally broke up. Rather, she broke up with him. According to Thad, she was not a particularly good-looking girl. He says he was the only one who thought she was cute, everyone else thought she was ugly, which could explain why she was so willing to give it up for so many guys. He speculated that the reason she cheated was because she wanted to be emotionally validated and feel attractive. Regardless, Thad was now out of a girlfriend and out of a job, with all the time in the world on his hands to pursue his nerdy interests like anime and video games. He began posting to his YouTube channel much more, partly to kill time and partly to cope with his situation. But Thaddeus was still extremely depressed, with his emotions beginning to bleed into other facets of his life. He had an outburst at school where he threw a chair at the whiteboard, which got him suspended and pushed him further into his isolation. Valentine's Day eventually came around, and he was single, no job or school to keep him preoccupied, which brought him to his breaking point. He told his ex that he was contemplating taking his own life, to which she responded that she was going to stop talking to all other dudes and be with him. But at this point, that was no longer enough. Thad made his way to the police station and told them he needed to be locked in a cell, for fear if he was left alone any longer, he would do something irreversible. The cops placed him in cuffs and took him to the hospital, before then transporting him to a hospital for teens with mental issues. It's here where we find out about another lacking aspect of Thad's life: his parents. Often, mental health facilities are nightmares for those who go there seeking treatment, but Thad states it wasn't all that bad. He got to play games, watch movies, hang out, and they actually fed him.
It was a good place. I mean, they fed me. I had a good meal in a while because I live with my dad and he hardly feeds me. So I always gotta buy my own food, and when I'm out of money, I'm out of luck, you know.
After recovering a bit, it was time for Thad to go home. His father picked him up, but his dad didn't exactly have his priorities in the right place.
It seemed like he really didn't care, because all he was talking about how his insurance gonna go up because of that. I mean, because if your own son's about to do that stuff, when you want to talk to him and not complain about your insurance?
Your own dad being more concerned with his insurance going up than your mental well-being is definitely bound to make you feel even more alone. At the very least, you'd no longer see him as someone you can rely on, to turn to in times of need. But the greatest and strangest consequence of this event was that it made Thad lose interest in girls. Well, real girls anyway.
So I just don't care no more. I mean, people be like, act like this, you don't get girls, why you act like this? Like, cause I don't care really. She really just turned me off of females. I mean, I'm not gay or anything. Don't take me wrong. I'm not gay. I don't look at boys now. I just don't want to be with a girl, really.
The comments on these videos were outstandingly supportive, with many sharing their own stories of hardship. In the videos, Thad himself also repeatedly says that anyone who is experiencing thoughts similar to what he had should reach out to him. But considering his situation and how much emphasis he puts on his invitation for people to reach out, it's quite possible this was less about him helping others and more about getting himself someone he could talk to. Thad was struggling and speaking into the void, hoping to make some online friends. In part 2, he also states that the one thing that kept him from really going through with it was his hobbies, specifically the anime One Piece.
It kind of stopped me from doing it because I don't know what happened at the end yet. I mean, will Luffy find a One Piece treasure? Will we die? Or so it's like kind of anime saved my life, really. Kind of. It stopped me from doing something because all the animes I never seen, I never experienced yet, the ones that yet to come out. I mean, I guess you could say that what saved my life was my interest. Cause I play video games and I watch anime a lot, listen to music, and basically One Piece really saved my life. So I should email Oda. the creator of One Piece if you don't know.
Soon after, Thad showed some signs of improvement in his life, as he enrolled as a graphic design student at a nearby school for media arts. And with him completely swearing off romantic connections and spending more time watching anime, Thad began uploading videos to his YouTube much more frequently. In September of 2008, he uploaded a video complaining about Boxy being run off the internet by 4chan users.
So explain me, what's the fucking point of hating on Boxy? What did Boxy do to y'all? She was just a 16-year-old girl that everybody fell in love with. She didn't do nothing. She didn't ask for this fame. Somebody found her video, put it on the site. We accepted her as her queen.
Although he was weighing in on things that were pretty current at that point in time, his videos didn't get a lot of traction. But that would all change on the 5th of that month, when he posted Lucky Star Opening Real Life Mad Thad Parody. This video went on to accumulate over 100,000 views, being reposted across 4chan's anime board and other forums. Sure, it was extremely cringy, but at the same time, it was endearing to see a guy this much into anime expressing his passion for it. He knew that recreating an anime opening where he takes the place of cartoon Japanese girls was ridiculous and funny, and the people who saw it shared the same sentiment. In a slightly grim reminder of his real-life situation, the description of this video read, "Yeah, I finally got around to finishing this. My dad locked me in my room, and I was like, let's finish Lucky Star." Despite this, he seemed to be in much better spirits, and the next year was pretty uneventful for Thad in terms of negative stuff. He sang, he uploaded some vlogs and reviews, he talked about One Piece, rinse, and repeat. It's only in March of 2010 that things took an extreme turn for the worse, as Thaddeus shared his thoughts on the controversial subject of lolicon.
I thought we were done. I thought we were done. I thought we were done. We're not. We're not done.
For 10 minutes, Thad once again touched on the subject of censorship, but this time it was in regards to a bill being proposed in Japan which would ban the creation of explicit drawings of young girls. He defends it on the principle of it falling under freedom of speech, and also states that if there's such a big market for it, why not allow it to prosper? Then he says this.
I'm not a big fan of real like, cause it's kind of, I don't know, I'm not that interested in real people like that, you know? But drawn, animated, I'm okay with, cause it's drawn. Cause real people aren't that sexy to me.
This is troubling for a lot of reasons. Firstly, Thad suggesting he doesn't like the real stuff suggests he's sought it out and seen it before, even if he didn't ultimately enjoy it. Secondly, I don't think the drawn alternative is any better insofar as what it says about you. Lastly, and perhaps the worst part, Thad's only criticism of the real stuff is that he simply finds it less interesting, and not that, you know, it harms real people in the real world. It's possible that in his state of terminally online gooning, he desensitized himself to these moral quandaries, and was more accepting of outright degeneracy. As insane as Thad's take is, there were actually multiple people who saw this video and expressed being in total agreement with it. I would speculate that this just emboldened his view of the situation, but speculation won't prove necessary, as his stance on this issue unfortunately foreshadows his ultimate crime. But for the time being, Thad was back to concerning himself with his love life, or lack thereof. For example, a video titled Happy Valentine's Day Depression Dog features this image of a dog accompanied by what seems like song lyrics, a poem, or some kind of thing that Thad wrote out so that he could edit it into this video. It goes as follows. It's Valentine's Day. She's with someone else. Wasted youth on the internet. What will adulthood bring? Tried to organize party. Nobody wants to come. Constantly refresh MySpace when she realizes she'll never message you again. Call to confess love. New boyfriend answers. Buy fleshlight. Use it like he uses her. I'll lose weight and show her right after this McDonald's. She replies LOL and doesn't laugh. I'm still not totally sure if Thad created this video originally or if he just found it somewhere and posted it, but certain aspects of it do seem to mirror his own experience with girls. And as funny as some of the lines are, several of them are only funny in how twisted they are. One particular line from it also foreshadowed the near future, which read, "Cook dinner for one, set the table for two." This brings us to what was largely Mad Thad's claim to fame, his waifu. As mentioned previously, when weebs love an anime character so much that they start fantasizing about being with them, they call them their waifu. There's obviously a range of people who engage with this kind of thing, and while many of them do it ironically, others are much more sincere in their attachment to these fictional characters. On February 14th, 2010, Thaddeus McMichael posted to his Facebook wishing everyone a happy Valentine's Day. The image attached was of a cake set to the backdrop of an anime body pillow. As far as I can tell, this is a unique picture that never appeared online before Thad posted it himself, meaning he's most likely the person who took it. However, it turns out whoever this girl is was just a fling, as he only found his one and only when he started watching the show School Days, which he became so infatuated with, he was overwhelmed. School Days, which is based on a visual novel game of the same name, is a TV show following the titular Makoto Ito, a high school student dating several of his classmates, one of them being Kotanoha Katsura, a bookworm who becomes Makoto's initial love interest. To make a long story short, she is extremely desperate to be with Makoto, to the point of mental illness. After another one of his love interests murders Makoto, she takes it upon herself to kill this girl and then cuddles with the severed head of her lover. When it was released, the show was somewhat controversial within the anime community, with some considering it a high school drama mixed with murder trash, and others feeling as though it received far too much hate. For whatever reason, Thad took a particular interest in the show, and it wasn't long before Kotanoha was established as his new waifu. Less than a month after he discovered it, he posted to his Twitter saying, "Kotanoha Katsura is my waifu. She loves me more than any 3D pig ever could." He then took it a step further, updating his Facebook page to feature an image of him laying in bed with his waifu. From everything I've seen of Thad, this was all somewhat tongue-in-cheek, as he didn't seem to be genuinely under the belief that she exists in any reality, unlike some other people I've covered, like Randy Stair, who believed that a Danny Phantom character was waiting for him in the afterlife. In August of that same year, Thad created a Facebook page entirely dedicated to her, updated his relationship status, and posted various images of them together. He even went as far as to swap between his two accounts, role-playing as the character. "We look so kawaii together. I know, I was so tired that day. Thanks for cuddling up with me. Baka, it's not like I wanted to cuddle with you or anything. Stop being so tsundere." It also seems that, despite his stated intention to never be with a real girl ever again, he did explore his options. "I need help. Is this 3D pig worth it? She's making me cut the time I spend with Kotanoha in half. The 3D force is strong with this one." But ultimately, that was pushed aside to make way for his most infamous upload ever. "Happy birthday to my waifu, Kotanoha Katsura." Thad opens the video by showing off his various Kotanoha memorabilia, including a framed picture of her, 2 mouse pads, and 2 laptops, whose background he set to her face. He had even set out candles and a cake for her, before showing just how much he truly appreciated her presence in his life.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Kotanoha. Happy birthday to you. Blow out the candles, Kotanoha. Yay! I love you, and I hope you have a good birthday today. Now time for a delicious cake with my waifu. Yay! You jelly?
While this may seem pretty run-of-the-mill now, at the time, this was an extremely novel video. A grown man singing happy birthday to a fictional anime character fit perfectly into the quickly developing weeaboo stereotype. The idea of an adult man in his greasy bedroom, beating his meat to drawings and collecting oriental swords. And early comments on the YouTube video reflected this, with a clear divide between those who thought he was being serious and wanted to make fun of him or cast shade on him, and others who appreciated the tongue-in-cheek nature of it. Today, this video has over 300,000 views, and at the time, it once again brought Thad infamy on the anime board of 4Chan. While this video was mostly a joke, what wasn't a joke was Thad becoming more and more open about his love of adult entertainment. In October of 2010, Thad posted about strategically selecting what material he was going to watch to go crazy style on himself when he gets back from work. If preemptively selecting your goon fuel wasn't depressive enough, he added that he'd follow his session up by watching some Big Bang Theory. Truly, there is nothing like some bazinga action after you unload your Matrix juice into a tissue. He also posted multiple reviews of adult toys to YouTube.
FedEx, my box. Oh shit! The guy's coming. I'ma hide. I want to see me. I mean, he can see me, but oh, whatever. It's a masturbation cup. Yeah. So they have other ones that's smaller than this one. So I was like, you know what? My dick's too big for that shit. I'm gonna try this one out. So
again, just when you thought it couldn't get any worse, it turns out these are basically just previews, as the full version of the reviews had to be hosted on adult sites, as it featured Thad trying them out actively. Even on Facebook, where I assume his real-life friends and family could see what he was posting, he was also getting a bit more racy. "So I'm thinking about becoming a girl. Is this a good idea?" It seemed to work for this guy. The attached post reads, "A few weeks away from 1 full year on HRT, tea, and I'm feeling great. I'm not depressed or bitter anymore, and I'm 100% grateful to be where I'm at today. Finally got my name change taken care of, and it seems like my life has purpose and meaning for once. While it's possible this was entirely a joke from Thad, considering he'd already talked about the loneliness he felt and his aversion to real girls, it's likely this was some sort of hint at his depressive state. I doubt he had any inclination of actually becoming transgender, but more so, he was joking about the fact that he needed some avenue to become a truly fulfilled and happy person. Whatever the case, perhaps Kotonoha was jealous of those 3D pigs he was whacking it to, but not jealous enough to not wish him a happy birthday. He made sure to record her well wishes on his YouTube channel.
No, remember my birthday with Kotonoha. At least she remembers. She will always and forever be my waifu. Forever alone. Forever alone. Forever alone. Forever alone.
Unlike the last video, which seemed entirely unserious, this video has a tinge of honesty to it, replacing the lyrics "Happy Birthday" with "Forever Alone," pointing out the fact that he had experienced no long-lasting romance since the girl from his McDonald's traumatized him. Outside of his worsening gooning addiction, Thad's channel was regularly posting throughout 2011 and 2012. In one of his uploads, he predicted that DVDs would die and streaming was the future. Quite accurately, I might add.
I'm trying to say, like, Netflix is the future. The streaming is gonna be the way to go, man. All these hard drives, obsolete. I'm saying it right now, obsolete, man. Mark my words.
And, like always, one of the recurring subjects of his anger was online censorship.
I mean, if they try to come here and censor on the internet, but it never works. But if I come home and try to log on my favorite site and it says, like, this site is blocked by the US government, I'm going to war, man.
By this point, YouTube commenters weren't the only people who had taken notice of Thaddeus McMichael. The Anime Reality is a now-defunct forum which was dedicated to documenting the cringeworthy antics of the internet's most outspoken anime fans. Naturally, Thaddeus was somewhat of a regular point of discussion on the site, with his undying love for his waifu and various reviews of gooning devices. One thing they discussed was the presence of a video he posted in which he had intimate relations with his body pillow of Kotonoha Katsura. While I obviously can't show you the video, not that you should want to see it anyway, I can show you what users at the time thought about it. You know, normally I don't hesitate to click on links on the internet, no matter how disgusting or horrible I know they will be. I have braved the pits of Encyclopedia Dramatica and faced the dread horrors of 4chan. Lemon Party has been my wallpaper, and I browse through Goatsy galleries in my spare time. I can describe 4Chan's privates in intimate detail. Still, this is too much for me. By all that is good and holy, I will not click that link. On February 13th, 2012, he uploaded his last installment in Things That Piss Me Off, with the subject being pink lemonade. And then, without any warning to his audience whatsoever, Thaddeus McMichael disappeared from the internet, leaving his viewers to wonder what happened to him. And it wouldn't be long before they got their answer. On March 2nd of 2012, a new post from the Anime Reality gave an explanation for what happened to Thad. The Detroit Free Press reports that Thaddeus McMichael, 21, of Southfield, Michigan, was arrested Wednesday after an FBI investigation. According to the FBI affidavit, good old Thad was actively discussing CP and methods for downloading it from the internet, including comments on the topic of how to obtain it and how to encrypt the images. Users began looking through all of his social media, quickly finding one post in which he was alluding to illegal material on Facebook. While those who saw it on Facebook at the time may have read it as a joke, in hindsight, it's extremely disturbing, and it would get much darker when the details were revealed thanks to the release of the FBI's affidavit. Thad had been posting on his public Facebook profile, outright asking people where to get more of this illegal content, how to encrypt it to prevent himself from being caught, and even confessing to having touched himself to said content. Not only is this extremely disgusting, but it borders on unbelievable that someone doing this horrific of a thing would talk about it on a public website with their real legal name attached. But if there's one thing I've learned from watching Chris Hansen, it's that most of these guys are practically begging to be caught, or or actively enjoy discussing their proclivities in public, especially if it's right under people's noses. Apparently, a concerned citizen saw these posts and reported him, prompting the FBI to look through the posts, who then obtained a warrant to search his home. When the feds arrived, Thad must have been surprised that they found out what he was saying. He had been screaming into the void so long with no one noticing, maybe he was even glad. What I'm sure didn't please him, however, was when the agent decided to read his own post back to him. "Stop downloading all that cheese pizza, Thad. You're just asking for it. Well, tell Cheese Pizza to stop being so sexy. That feel after you fap to Cheese Pizza, it feels like none other. It feels like you're floating on cloud 9 or something. Fapping to some 40-year-old woman makes your juice smell rotten. Yeah, I carry around an 8GB hard drive full of Cheese Pizza." According to the affidavit, during questioning, Thad replied to all of these posts simply saying that they were a joke. That is, except for the last one, as when asked about him carrying around a hard drive full of illegal material, he simply said, "I plead the fifth." The FBI also found posts of him fantasizing about adopting a young girl from an orphanage, and even says he wants to locate a Michigan adoption agency to obtain this girl. It's unknown if this was a serious plan he had or just a fantasy, but it's no less disturbing to see. The FBI then seized all of his devices, one of which was in fact an 8GB flash drive. On it, his folders were literally titled /things/don't-click/CP. Pretty clever of him there, to label the folder with the illegal material "don't click." I'm sure it worked wonders on the FBI agent looking at it. In those folders, they found 350 illegal images, and Thaddeus was immediately arrested, which caused his online activity to cease for the time being. Given that he was a bit of a minor celebrity in certain areas of the internet, there was a wide range of responses. The most common being people disgusted by his behavior, going to his YouTube channel to comment about how ironic it was that a gooner of his degree was arrested after proudly stating he didn't like what he was ultimately caught with. But that's not to say everyone was happy with how it turned out. Some users went as far as to defend his behavior. I'll still like him because I don't know him. Also, it's not like he actually touched any kids. Either way, it's his business. I knew him personally. We played games together. He was just a really funny dude. Also, the cheese pizza he got arrested for could have just been pictures of 17-year-olds or lolicon. Even if it was actual cheese pizza, who cares? Fapping doesn't hurt anyone, and if you think it does, then you deserve to die. The truth is that Mad Thad didn't really do anything wrong, except being completely comfortable with who he was, without society letting him feel like a bad person for it. American society needs to bring itself out of the dark ages, because it's getting sad, bro. What he did is just as natural as homosexuality or BDSM. It's not a choice, it's the way God made us. And if you have a problem with it, you should take it up with your God. One person even posted a tribute video to him, which ended up getting 42,000 views. At the time, the main article being sourced with information about the case was from the Detroit Free Press, a local publication for his area. According to those following the case, once the article came out, its comment section was vandalized, with his supporters commenting on it angrily, leading to it being taken down and a new version being posted. Although the writing and information ultimately remained unchanged. They just didn't want a band of creeps stinking up their replies section. There was also a third position on the subject, if you will. Many commented on the fact that while he seemed pretty innocent at first, over time his content made it clear that he was becoming more and more mentally disturbed, before falling into the pit of despair and degeneracy that was ultimately his undoing. Thad was eventually released on bail, but was not allowed to access the internet during this time period, relegated to face the consequences of what he had done, even before he was sentenced. And during this time, we got two major developments. Firstly, someone following the court case gave some input on his whereabouts. "Hey guys, I wanted to keep you up to date on Thad. He called 2 FBI agents, asked them to come to his house and kill him, won't take his meds, and is threatening to take himself out. The judge put him back in jail again." Meanwhile, he also alienated his private attorney, and she withdrew from the case. Thad now has a new private attorney, and his public defender withdrew for similar reasons. As Thad was a frequent figure here on SP, I thought you might want to know. If true, this would mean his behavior was only becoming more erratic with time, and it was seemingly confirmed with a tweet made while his internet access had been revoked, where he said, "I'm back. Missed my waifu. Stupid feds didn't even find my backup hard drive. Hashtag YOLO. Hashtag swag. Hashtag waifu." Many at the time believed this was actually from Thad, myself included, as it fit his pattern of brazen stupidity, openly bragging about his crimes now that he had nothing to lose. Later on, it turns out he wasn't responsible for this post, but we'll get to that later. We've already established that Thad was quite active on MySpace, YouTube, YouTube, Twitter, 4chan, and various adult video sites. But another place he had a presence on was Tumblr. This is where he originally uploaded the video of him giving his Kotanoha body pillow some serious love, with the account called Mad Thad and Kotanoha's Love Shack. And this video has a surprising amount of likes considering, well, what it is. Shame on all of you. Shame. His bio on the site read, "I love my waifu Kotanoha and young underage white girls." And Asian is fine too. While it's long since been deleted and the details of his posts are obscured, we do know that at one point he had some of his posts removed due to them featuring his unique taste in anime artwork. He was not too pleased with this. I thought Tumblr was the fun place on the internet. I can post not safe for work stuff, my junk, and pretty much anything I want to here. But this ain't gonna fly if they're gonna kick me off just because I reblogged somebody's pics of cute Asian children. It's not like it was cheese pizza or anything. This site isn't as fun as I thought it was going to be. Is there any place on the internet where a cheese pizza lover can be himself without being hated on? Maybe I should start up my own social networking site where there will be no mods and my kind of people can finally express themselves freely without being ridiculed. You guys keep on the lookout for my new website coming soon. Thankfully, whether it be due to him just joking about this last part or his lack of web development skills, this website never came to fruition. It was also at this time that a telling post was discovered from years prior, which went over his thoughts on Chris Hansen of To Catch a Predator fame. Have you seen the show? Most of the guys look like friendly men that just want to show a little girl a good time. Ain't like they're coming over with forks and knives to eat the kids. They just want to get drunk off wine coolers and, bro. I won't act like Chris Hansen is above criticism, but being this angry at the idea of him catching actual creeps and referring to the desired interaction from the creep in the way that he did is just disgusting. And frankly, if more people had seen this post, I think it would have been kind of obvious at the time that he was going to do something bad. Fortunately, the legal punishment he suffered seemed to have its intended effect, as Thaddeus wouldn't be heard from after his arrest for quite some time. While he was gone, YouTube was rapidly becoming a much bigger platform, and one of the most prestigious creators during the golden era of the early to mid 2010s was Filthy Frank, who now goes by his actual name, Joji. While it's hard to say any one video of his was his most popular, his upload titled Weeaboos is definitely somewhere on that list, as it capitalized on one of the most cringed at subcultures of the internet. In the conclusion of the video, he plays a song and uses a variety of visuals to illustrate how pathetic weebs are, during which not one, but two images of Mad Thad appear. With this video sitting at 42 million views, his legacy as a poster boy for the worst kind of deranged anime consumer was solidified, although it's safe to say that the crushing majority of the viewers of the video had no idea who he was or what he went to jail for. Meanwhile, in that same year, further court documents were released detailing just how disturbed Thad truly was. They firstly compiled even more incriminating posts he had made. I went to the library today to send some resumes and left my USB plugged in with all my cheese pizza and my resume, along with my name and address on it, for about 30 minutes. I can only thank Kami-sama that nobody looked through it. It was also revealed that he had been asked if he ever had inappropriate contact with a victim in real life. While he denied it, he confessed that he had once filmed a short video of his younger cousin, albeit with clothes on. According to the Fed's description, he pretended to be a pedo bear and made motions with his hands like he was trying to grab her. He also confessed that he had been viewing illegal content since 2011. And while I won't get into the other stuff they revealed about what he was watching for the sake of everyone, this guy was looking at some of the most deplorable and unfathomably disgusting content that you can even imagine. With his life torn apart as he faced years in prison for an egregious crime, and his face being plastered on gigantic videos, using him as an example of what a pathetic person looks like, this would have been the ideal ending for the story of Thaddeus McMichael. Unfortunately, it wasn't so, as years after he'd gone radio silent, in 2018, court documents revealed he was released on October 9th. Just 10 days later, someone claimed to have run into him on the now-defunct chatting site Omegle. 1 week later, people noticed that his account on an adult video site indicated he was back to engaging with adult content, but it seems like his internet access was somewhat limited, likely due to the terms of his probation. But right as people got to thinking his release wouldn't amount to a full-fledged return to his online presence, he proved everyone wrong with a post to 4chan. What's up, /A? I've been in prison for the last decade and need anime to catch up on. I'm in the middle of Hunter x Hunter and loving it. Any other recommendations from 2012 until now? While some users were unfamiliar and questioned why he had been in jail, some old frogs immediately recognized his name, Kotanoha's husbando, and began inquiring if it was actually him. In response, he provided an image of himself wearing a MAGA hat. Thad continued posting over the next few days, providing new pictures of himself, suggesting he was now working at a Target. When asked about how prison was, he said that everybody there liked him, including the members of white gangs. He also said that he had been, shall we say, quite intimately active during his time behind bars, specifically with over 100 men. Naturally, one of the biggest questions people had was, are you going to reoffend? So when he was asked if he was still interested in the illegal content that got him sent to prison, he stated that he wasn't, and instead he was now into MILFs and JILFs, meaning middle-aged and elderly women. Of course, this is the word of a convicted creep, so it's good to take it with a grain of salt. For the time being, Thad had yet to return to YouTube, instead keeping his presence limited to a few forum posts here and there. But while he had been off the platform, something had been happening in the background. Various documentary channels like Down the Rabbit Hole and Mr. Medicare had become popular by telling the stories of strange internet figures who had largely been forgotten. Thad had received similar treatment, with a channel going by the name of Wildcat Productions, creating content largely inspired by Down the Rabbit Hole. And some of that content was a multi-part series dedicated to the story of Thaddeus McMichael. A lot of this series is honestly filler and covers the more boring moments from Thad's career. The more interesting part is the creator of these videos. If you go looking for them on YouTube, you may find a re-upload here and there, or you may not find them at all. Same goes for BitChute. The only place they're still reliably accessible is Odyssey, an alternative technology platform that many use to back up and archive content from more popular sites. The reason it's only available there is because the creator wiped his entire online presence when it was discovered who he truly was, and what he was getting up to in his free time, apart from being an amateur documentarian. Wildcat Productions' real name is Sean Walker, a former friend of infamous 4Chan tormentor Isabella Janke. He was tangentially involved in the situation that led to a call between Isabella and 4Chan leaking, in which Chris confessed to having intimate relations with his own mother. Sean was one of the last people Chris messaged before being taken into custody. Shortly after the incident, he left the internet entirely and has not been heard from since. But before he left, his documentaries about Randy Stair and Mad Thad did receive some attention. As a result, when he was still on YouTube, he actually got a chance to interview the man himself.
Imagine high school, but with nothing but adults. That's exactly what prison is. Like, seriously, it's high school was. You know, I mean, every prison's different, but I was at a low, so, like, no one really got in fights. No one really, like, it was more people running their mouths to each other than actual, you know, fighting each other. More people get caught sucking than fighting in that prison. And seriously, and not lying, seriously, that's seriously what happened.
Here, Thad claims that the only time he got in a fight in prison was shortly after his bail was revoked, and he was spending half a year in the Detroit County Jail. Apart from that, the majority of his time in jail was made up of playing chess and being gay, literally. But we'll get more into that later. In regards to his childhood, he states it was relatively normal, as despite living in a suburb of Detroit, it was a pretty safe area. His middle-class family provided for him decently well, and he had plenty of friends to play Halo and other games with.
I mean, it was a childhood, you know. I mean, I didn't have all the toys. I didn't have all the video games. I had friends in the neighborhood I would go hang out with. It was average, you know, average suburban childhood.
But a lot of this interview comes across as WCT being friends with Thad more than trying to get some answers out of him. Thankfully, there was another interview we can reference to see what his time in jail was like. A YouTube channel called Twizzle had posted a much shorter video about Thad while he was in jail, telling the story of his life before lockup. And before we get into the interview, I'd like to highlight one comment on the video that gives us a closer look into the perspective of someone who knew Thad online before his time in the Slammer. I used to interact with this guy back in the day. I was a fan from like 2008 when I found his channel. I was a part of that 4chan audience then, and I don't remember if he found 4chan or if 4chan found him, but I did notice as time went on, his humor became more like it came from 4chan. No one took him seriously because 1, a lot of us thought he was exaggerating for character, 2, all the controversial stuff that eventually got him was being taken as a joke because much of his audience was from 4chan, and that kind of humor is commonplace there. One thing I was wise to do was not comment on his post about CP, even when I thought that they were jokes back then. And I also vaguely remember some other guys who seemed to be egging him on and encouraging him to get into that kind of stuff in his comments. They spoke to each other like they were into it too, and spoke about it in public Facebook comments. Looking back, all the videos with him and the loneliness, which were kind of taken as a joke, should have been a warning that the dude was off. He even said his dad would make him stay in his room when they had guests out of embarrassment. endorsement. But when he made a Tumblr and made that body pillow video, he blew up instantly. He started getting floods of people adding him on Facebook, and it seemed like he was about to turn it into something. Problem was, these people weren't his usual audience. A lot of them were there to make fun of him. A lot of those people came from Tumblr and didn't understand it. But at this point, he was going off and letting the little bit of fame get to his head. He was still talking the same creepy stuff after adding all of those new people, and again, it wasn't the dude's usual audience. I remember telling him to be careful and stop adding all of those people. He already had people calling him a creep and threatening to report him. He got caught because someone reported him to Facebook, and Facebook took it to the feds from what I remember. I would have reported it myself if I had known he was serious. On January 19th, Twizzle posted on 4Chan saying he was about to do his own interview with Thad and asked the anonymous users on the site to post their burning hot questions. In the interview itself, Thad first says he cannot be online as much as he'd like to due to the terms of his probation, and he then discusses his social status while imprisoned.
Jack of all trades. As soon as I went to prison, not as soon, but probably like a year into it, I turned like super gay. Like, I was and sucking literally anything that would allow me, and if they didn't allow me, I turned it into a dating sim.
He was having relations with both men and transsexuals, although when asked if he is actually gay, he states he's not so sure. But he does say that even since he's been released, his gay tendencies have remained, as he fantasized about topping off a random Uber driver. He apparently received positive reviews from gay men in jail as well, with them saying he gave the best sloppy toppy they had ever gotten. And if anyone's asking, he was both giving and receiving during his time there. As for how he was treated considering his crime, he said that there were quite a few people in there convicted for the same thing he was, so he was hardly a social outcast.
It was really heartwarming to be around people just like me, because it's a very, it's sad to say, but it's a very popular crime at the moment. There's tons of people getting caught with it. You know, it's not always publicized like mine was. It's sad to say that it's so many people doing it and getting caught with it, but it was also heartwarming that we all came together and we were all buddies, and in my case, I a whole bunch of them too, you know.
It's interesting that he seems to now have at least some level of remorse for his actions, stating that it's sad how much of an issue that particular form of illegal content has become on people's hard drives. While many view prison as a negative experience, interestingly, Thad had a more complicated view. He states that he had a blast due to the camaraderie, lack of responsibilities, and plethora of available partners. Now, on the outside, he was experiencing a different kind of prison. Very limited access to social media, having to pay $30 a month to the feds to have his internet use monitored. He was banned from watching real adult content, being relegated to watching twerking videos. He found these conditions so brutal that at one point he called his probation officer, telling her that he wanted to go back to jail.
I miss prison. I miss the sex. I miss the friendship that I made. I made that place my home, you know?
In all honesty, there probably should be the option for you to go to prison if you want to. Guys like Thad simply don't belong anywhere near normal people. And if he wants to go to jail, just let him do it forever as far as I'm concerned. He compares his time in prison to when he was put in the children's mental hospital after he wanted to take his own life, all the way back in 2009, a time period which he described as quite positive. He basically is yearning for a locked up place where he has no normal responsibility and is not pressured with what he sees as the burdens of the real world.
Right now, I'm diagnosed with Asperger's right now, so I gotta play Minecraft as soon as I get a chance.
A few important clarifications also came out of this interview. Firstly, Thad claims he was never the person posting photos of himself on 4chan. Those images were from before his trial. Secondly, he claims he was not the person who had posted on his Twitter stating that he was out and had an extra hard drive of illegal content. Someone had actually hacked his account and posted it to troll people. He also briefly commented on how much YouTube had changed. Annotations were now removed, and the subscribe button had been given a notification bell, to which he replied, well, what's the point of subscribing then? Honestly, a pretty valid question. When asked if prison had worked to remove his criminal tendencies, he stated that it had. However, he says that some other inmates spent time fantasizing about creating an island in the Pacific Ocean where they could take victims and do what they wanted. But he said that he was totally done with that kind of stuff, and wished he had never gotten into it in the first place, claiming to feel a lot of guilt for his actions. For this claim, I'll let you decide if he's truly changed changed, or is just hiding his feelings now that he knows he could go back to jail. That being said, he still seems to want to go back, so maybe there is some truth to what he's saying. Despite what he had done, Thad got a pretty positive reception from both of these interviews, with people enjoying listening to his stories and his general attitude. This is probably what made him confident enough to come back to YouTube once the terms of his probation allowed it. Initially, he was entirely unable to access the Mad Thad account due to forgetting the password to his Gmail, so for the time being, he would create a new one called Will Dill. There, it could be confirmed that he was, in fact, watching a lot of twerking videos. It seems that the illustrious Pog had become his specialty since his time away. Memes aside, from the Will Dill account, he basically resumed his regular behavior, sharing his thoughts on anime and the world at large. He remarked that everything had become much more polarized, with every topic becoming much more political in his absence.
I don't know what type of propaganda they put on everything. I mean, I go on the video games, it's all political. I go on TV, it's all political. I mean, sports is not political as now.
He also got in touch with his own political beliefs, becoming an ardent supporter of Donald Trump and an avid hater of Dark Brandon. Eventually, he managed to get back into his main account, making the official return of the one and only Mad Thad.
If you can't beat him, you gotta join him.
From here, it's uncanny how much things just sort of resumed. For the most part, his videos were just what they were back in the day. Him talking about whatever anime he had just watched, ranting about changes to fast food menus, and, of course, the occasional controversial comment on underage anime characters. On November 11th of 2023, Thad posted, "Bonnie's age does not matter in One Piece."
But I feel like we have been infiltrated by too many normies that get into this community and get into this genre, and all they do is bring their normie nonsense into that we flocked to because it was different.
You can imagine how distraught he must have been. He went to jail when anime was seen as a thing for losers, unless you were Hispanic, in which case you grew up watching Dragon Ball Z and Naruto anyway. Now that he's out, everyone and their mom knows what Berserk is. It must have been quite the bizarre change of pace. Of course, his real concern shines through here, that being that the so-called normies will take issue with things like an underage character having large breasts. And since it's here the whole time, I do feel the need to comment on it. I have no idea why his eyes are blue the entire time. This may be some kind of anime thing that I'm just not aware of. I don't watch One Piece. I'm sorry. He would also once again discuss how much YouTube as a platform had changed over time. When Thad left in 2012, people had really just started making serious money on the platform. PewDiePie hadn't even become the most subscribed to person until a year after he went to jail. When he got out, YouTube now had double-stacked ads at the start of videos, many YouTubers were taking sponsorships, and the days of the edgy video platform he once knew were long gone.
And no one really has free speech on YouTube anymore because everyone has sponsors now, everyone has donations now, you know, so no one can really say what they... It's not the old days where you just put a camera on like this and just talk. Now you gotta be like, all right, this is brought to you by this and that. I can't say what I really want to say because I don't want to lose my sponsorship to this and that.
He was like a time traveler from 2012, a pedo Captain America coming out of the ice and seeing how much things had changed. He missed out on the opportunity to become some kind of popular anime reviewer, despite certainly having the charisma to attract an audience, all because he chose degeneracy. In 2021, when a To Catch a Predator style sting operation was successfully conducted on fellow YouTuber EDP445, Thad was one of the hundreds, if not thousands of people who covered the situation, and he expressed some sympathy for EDP, echoing his earlier opinions on Chris Hansen.
You're here to humiliate him for views. These guys are just like, how funny, how bad can we make these guys look on camera for views and no.
With him speaking about a topic so close to his own experience, many questioned whether he himself was going to reoffend. Some people apparently tried to catch him, but he quickly sniffed it out. What 15-year-old creates a Steam account, then adds me of all people the very next day? Which is honestly a good point, so at least he has the self-awareness to know that teenagers don't desire him whatsoever. Thaddeus would also post a video titled Gonorrhea and Pride Month, where he discussed the topic of the LGBT community and did, in fact, confess to testing positive for gonorrhea. On his community tab, Thad would keep people up to date on his personal life, having met a girl who he says is a cutie. Should I just focus on saving her instead of Natalie? I made that girl some breadsticks. Girls love breadsticks. One commenter exclaimed, "I don't think it's possible to go into a relationship planning to fix your partner. She's not a house." Also, there's a difference between swinging in your league versus taking advantage of the downtrodden. To which Thad replied, "What if crackheads are my league?" A valid question, no doubt. Especially for a man that's been to prison for having what he had on his hard drive. Now, him hanging out with this crackhead girl may be upsetting for some viewers, given his previous announcement of so-called 3D pigs. Well, if there was ever any question, on February 15th of 2023, Thad would celebrate Valentine's Day with his waifu once again. I guess some things never change.
Forever alone.
I've been Turkey Tom. Thanks for watching, and until next time, leave me alone.